Hey everybody, welcome back to Ken Michaels Radio. I'm having so much fun as I always do talking about the Beatles on every single show. And this time out, I have got a great group of people to talk about what we'd like to see come out as releases in the near future. The reason why I'm doing this is because it seems like every year, the last quarter of the year, you hear about rumors of what might come out, and you don't really know. And actually, if you follow the pattern of what's happened in recent years, you usually find out about an upcoming release a month to 6 weeks before it happens. And so there's always a lot of speculation out there on a lot of the podcasts and YouTube channels, and a lot of people talk about rumors. You know, we all fall into this, I don't know, where we don't know whether or not we should say anything. You feel like if you do mention every rumor, then people might get their hopes up and then it doesn't come out. And then if you don't say what might come out or it does come out, then you feel like you've missed the boat on it. But I always like to think that I'd rather wait until there's an official announcement for certain things, but you can't help but hear about all the rumors, and people ask us all the time, have you heard this might come out or that might come out? What about Now and Then? Is it going to be on the Blue album? All these questions. So I thought I would gather together a panel of some of my colleagues here to talk about what we'd like to see come out. And this could be based on what the rumors are. And it could also be just completely what we want, regardless of whether it's realistic or not. A lot of what I come up with is very unrealistic, as you might have gathered from watching this channel. But I mean, this is what's in our hearts, what we'd like to see come out, and we'll discuss the reasons why. And I've asked everybody here on this panel to come up with a list of their top five, from five to number one, Beatles or solo, of what they'd like to see come out. So why don't I introduce everybody to you guys? First of all, I've got everybody here from the Talk More Talk Show, which is one of the podcast shows that I co-host. We have the queen of Beatles social media, Kit O'Toole, with us. Hi, Kit.
Hi, Ken. Hi, everybody. Glad to be here.
And Tom Hunyadi, who you also know as being one half of the Two Legs, a Paul McCartney podcast, also with us. Hi, Tom.
It's great to be back on the show, Ken.
And we've got
Hello,
Joe
everyone.
Mayo. Joe Mayo, who has his own channel as well. We don't all do one show here. You know, we've all expanded here. We do so many different things. It's all one big web here. But Joe has Mean Mr. Mayo, as well as being on Talk More Talk. Welcome back, Joe.
Thanks, Ken. Hey, everybody.
Andy Nicholes is with us. He's the other half of Two Legs, a Paul McCartney podcast. He's also the current winner of my Ultimate Beatles trivia shows. Got to have him back. He's never going to leave this channel. The winner always comes back. Actually, there's a limit of 5 times. But anyway, welcome back, Andy.
Yeah, hi, everybody. And Ken, thanks for inviting me back on to with our esteemed posse here to talk and geek out about what's coming and what are we going to get.
Yeah, and you also
we're going to get something, but we don't know what.
Yes, we'll know fairly soon. Probably the news will break right after this video comes out. You also have your own podcast. Let us not forget that. The Other Leg. Okay. Yep. And we've got Beatley Tone here, who I've wanted to have on this channel. He has his own YouTube channel. And you've also seen him as part of the Two Legs podcast. They do this monthly feature called Stuck Inside These Four Walls. He's a regular there. Welcome, Beatley, to the channel.
Thanks very much. Thanks for having me on, Ken, for my debut on your channel. And hi, everyone else.
Well, we wanted to make it special, so we have you surrounded by all these esteemed colleagues.
Yes,
you know?
I know.
It's
I am in awe of my company here.
And so
we should be in awe of you. You're living in the motherland, so we should all be in awe of you.
Yeah.
You're in the homeland there. Come on.
This is true. Yes, this is like the first Ringo All-Star Band where he padded everything. So much talent there on one stage. And finally, last but certainly not least, Rick Glover is back with us. He's part of the Fans on the Run group, and they travel all over the world to see Paul McCartney. Of course, he loves all the Beatles, but he has seen Paul, what's the number of times in concert?
About 159 now is the number I use, at least.
Okay.
Ready for
And-
some more? Ready for good?
We were talking before we started recording this, you might go to Mexico City.
Thinking about it, just heard about it today, so putting the plans in place. If we can go, it'd be wonderful. Thanks for having me on again, Ken. Great
Yeah.
to see you too.
Well, the news actually broke today, today being the 23rd of August, that Paul's doing one show so far in Mexico City, and that's November the 14th. Before we all do our list, there's a couple of news items here that we definitely want to talk about. First of all, the news broke yesterday that Ringo's new EP will be coming out on October the 13th, which is called Rewind Forward. And the single and title track will be available to buy and for streaming this Friday. Now, when the EP comes out, it'll be coming out digitally on cassette, 10-inch vinyl, and CD. And there is a song on there called Shadows on the Wall. There's 4 songs, like most of his EPs are. The first one had 5, but all the others have had 4. That's another Steve Lukather song. Steve has really benefited from this association with Ringo. He's gotten a song on, I think, all of the EPs, and before that on Ringo's albums. And there is a song that Paul McCartney has written for the EP called Feeling the Sunlight. That's exciting to know. There's the title track that Ringo co-wrote with Bruce Sugar. And there's a song called Miss Jean, written by Mike Campbell from Tom Petty's Heartbreakers. So we have those 4 new songs to look forward to coming out October the 13th. We know that Ringo has said that he was in the process of recording 3 new EPs. And the way he explained it was that he had already recorded one of them. This is the second one. Oh, no, this is not the second. This is the first one that he's recorded. The second one that he's recording has got Linda Perry behind it, and she's supposed to have written all 4 songs for that. And then when Ringo finishes the next tour, which will be mid-October or so, then he'll record the 3rd EP. So this is exciting news. And as we're talking about what we'd like to see come out fairly soon, we already know that Ringo's 3 EPs will come out, but at least we now have a date, and exciting to know that we'll get to hear the first one this Friday. Anybody want to comment on that? Because the EPs, I'm excited every time there's a new EP. I still miss the albums. I want to hear 10 new songs or more from Ringo. But this way, you anticipate each release more and more because there's more releases coming out. But
Well, I'm happy just to get releases, any way we can from Paul or Ringo. But I think I'm starting to feel like a lot of people are saying, save it for one album now already, because when he was doing the EP thing, it was spaced a little more. Now they're coming pretty quick. You can almost save them for an album. But whether I get a 10-inch record, EP, or 12-inch LP, I'm happy that he's still doing music and he's still playing with the All Stars. So that's something.
right. Well, I feel the same way. I'm happy for any new product. And this
think
way
I'm
Looking
also,
forward-
he was talking about doing something more of a country vein.
Yeah.
He could take each EP and put a theme behind it. Like he's got Linda Perry working on the second EP. She's behind all the songs there. So gives him a bit more freedom that way, I suppose.
Mhm.
Anyway, also some news of interest. We heard several months ago about a concert that the Beatles did for this boys' school in Stowe, England, and Mark Lewison had access to the concert. Well, the concert itself has leaked out, and some of us here on this panel have heard either all of it or part of it. And I know I've heard about half of it, and I'm impressed with what I've heard. You do hear the band playing mainly a lot of rhythm guitar, some drums, but for most of the songs that I've heard, the vocals are kind of pushed back. But it's still exciting because you can still hear the band, and a lot of these songs are what the Beatles did at the time live and what they did for live at the BBC, and they sound really almost like the record of live at the BBC on some of these songs. But if any of you want to comment about it, I know Andy and Beatley, you heard that there's actually 2 recordings of this that have come out.
Yeah. There's
Yeah.
there's an AI kind of version of it as well that has leaked out there, right, Tone?
Yes. What I've heard is that there's a double CD bootleg out there. One CD is the actual concert that you can hear at the British Library, and the second CD is that concert remixed using AI to improve the quality of it.
Wonder what the chap had to do to kind of record this from the British Library.
I
and
don't know.
get it-
I
get
don't
it
know.
out of
I don't know
there.
how he's done that.
That would be a fascinating story to see how he did that.
Yeah.
See, I thought that this tape came from one of the students who recently discovered it.
It did,
Yes.
and then the British, and then I believe he donated it to the British Library, right, Tone?
That's what I heard. So unless the guy who's doing the bootleg has got direct access to the guy who's got the original tape, I don't know.
But you wonder why
This
Apple
is,
just didn't swoop. Apple didn't swoop in and just say, "Yeah, give, that's ours."
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of things that we wonder why Apple don't do certain things.
Yeah,
May have made a copy
this is
before he
purple.
donated.
Yeah, maybe.
This is
maybe,
purple
maybe,
work.
Rick.
This is the perfect next assignment for Peter Jackson. You know, it's give it to him and see what he can do. See what kind of magic he can do with it.
Well, part of
Yeah.
the reason why we're bringing this up is because this could be on your list of your
I
top
love-
5 if there's a way that you can improve the sound quality. I know you said one of these discs is AI. See, my big question here is not knowing the technology completely. Yes, you can isolate instrumentation there, but what if the vocals are really kind of soft or faint or in the background? How much can you do, even if you remove all of the applause and all the noise and everything? How much can you boost it up? I'm not sure, because a lot of this AI technology may be different from each other, what you can do. I think we're all assuming that we're going to have a great sounding concert. We may actually be able to do something like that. And the fact that this is leaked out and people have their own software at home, they might be able to come up with something really great sound quality. We'll have to wait and see. But anyway, it's interesting that this is now leaked out. This concert at
It's
Stowe.
on YouTube. Well, the regular concert's on YouTube. I don't think the AI one's on there yet. I don't think.
No.
I love the way that we've now commandeered Peter Jackson, and his film career is now over,
Right.
and he
Yeah.
just works purely for us.
He's on the Beatles payroll.
Yes.
He's on the Apple
Forget
payroll.
Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Forget
Yeah.
all that. Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
No
Martin
more
and
films.
Jackson.
More
He
for
needs
us
to
now.
work on
Yeah.
Beatles projects that we choose.
I have a feeling that Peter wouldn't mind if he worked exclusively for Apple.
Oh, I
Yeah.
He's
know.
that
He's a
much of
huge
a
Beat-
fan. Yes.
He's a huge fan. Of course, I think he would love that.
Yep. Okay. And then one final news item, which I didn't even know. Apparently, this was made apparent a few hours before we started to record this, is George Harrison's solo catalog being reissued all on Dark Horse. But some of them are on, well, there's a lot more released on vinyl than on CD. Tom and Beatley, I think you have the list.
Yeah, this is coming
Yeah.
from Noise 11 website. So
Okay.
they're announcing here the BMG to reissue George Harrison's catalog starting the 8th of September of 2023. It says here the long out of print solo catalog of George Harrison will start to be re-released on Dark Horse Records via BMG. So on Dark Horse Records, and BMG is going to distribute these items here. It says the initial release will include 5 titles on CD and 10 on vinyl. We have no idea why they're doing it this way, but the 5 on CD, it says here, will be Living in the Material World, and it says here it's going to be the 2006 remaster. Electric Sound will be, and then it's got Dark Horse from 2014, Extra Texture from 2014, and then the George Harrison self-titled from 2004 remaster. Why they're choosing what they chose, who knows? And then on vinyl, they're releasing Wonderwall Music, Electric Sound, Extra Texture, 33 1/3, George Harrison, the self-title, Somewhere in England, Gone Tropical, Cloud9, Live in Japan, Brainwash, Dark Horse, and Living in the Material World as well. So no All Things Must Pass yet, no concert for Bangladesh. Why it is this way, is yet to be.
There
No
might
Live
be
in
albums-
Japan.
written
Go ahead,
in
Rick.
on the-
Yeah.
No
There might
live
be
in Japan?
something in the
No, there is.
Oh, you said
licensing.
live in
Yeah.
Japan? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Rick, what were you going to say there?
I think there might be something in the license for the CD and the vinyl, maybe overlapping.
be.
I think I recall back when Paul went from maybe CBS back to Capitol or something like that, there was some handoff of time frames of you can release the vinyl now and the CDs later or something like
Okay.
that. That might be
Interesting.
business things for it, but I
Okay.
don't know the details behind that. But I was just thinking of any reason might be licensing
Right.
for CDs versus vinyl. Just a
Could
guess.
be.
Right.
Could be.
Yeah, but
So
George's
Yeah,
these
I mean-
albums just got a release on vinyl in 2017. They all got re-releases.
Yeah, but they're out of print now. I mean, you'd be hard pressed to find them now if you go to a record store.
Well, it
Maybe
happens
you'd
to
find
Paul's,
a couple
too.
of them. Yeah.
What'd you
Yeah,
say,
they're
Tom?
all on that.
That's
Everything
why
on
they
F
keep.
speed.
That's why they keep these coming, because you keep them in print.
Yeah.
I mean, we all got them back in 14,
true.
right? But
That's true.
the younger there's a younger audience that might not have had that chance. So
Right.
it's great that these re-releases keep happening. So the next generation can.
Hey, if
get
it's in
them.
print, like Tom, we always say, just keep the stuff in print, you know?
And
And
this
well-
source is Noise 11,
Yeah, Noise 11.
because they're the ones I think that put something out about the Red and the Blue albums as well.
Hmm.
So
Right.
we'll see.
So these are all the last remasters of each of these albums.
Correct.
So that also
Correct.
means that there could be another remaster coming when they redo it again in the near future. Because, that's one thing that's really up in the air. And it's one thing I wanted to bring up with you guys is that we've had so little as far as archival box sets coming out from the Solo-Beatles in the last few years. It makes you wonder what plans there are, if any, with the rest of the solo catalog. So,
Mhm.
That's
yeah.
my list.
What's that?
That's on my list.
Let's
Okay.
go.
All right. So let's hear from each of us what's on your top five. And as you are royalty, Kit, we're going to start with you. Start from
Oh.
go from 5 to 1.
Okay, so we're sharing all five at once.
No, we're all
do
going to give
five
one at a
first?
time
Okay.
each on our own.
Okay, so I'm going to start with, you said we could do pretty unrealistic.
Sure.
So I'm going to start with an unrealistic. We've talked about this on Ken and I. We've talked about this on Talk More Talk many times, but I would love, before they both leave this earth, I would love a Paul McCartney Stevie Wonder collab. I will take an album. I will take a single. I'd prefer an album. But I would love them to collaborate again. I just thought they worked so well together on Ebony and Ivory, and particularly What's That You're Doing. I wish they had built more on that in particular. And I just wish, while they are still active and still sounding great, that they would work together again. And I know it's probably completely unrealistic, but you said that's legal. So I wish they would do it.
Yeah, well, they have the greatest admiration for each other. I don't understand why they haven't done more.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
Stevie did a great job with the harmonica on Only Our Hearts. Kisses on the Bottom, that really added a lot to the song there. But yeah, it'd be a dream of mine. The two of them
It's
are
a lot
two
of
the
pressure.
biggest.
So I think that's a lot of pressure for the two. I mean, to come up with something, which that would be their standards, and release it to the world and say, here's our work together. I mean, people would be expecting songs in the Key of Life Part 2 or something, or Tug of War Part 2.
I don't know.
Maybe your best bet is like they do one song or two, and then they do a re-recording of Ebony and Ivory.
Yeah, I mean, I would take, even if they did something like that, or a new single, or something like that. I mean, I would love an album, and I wouldn't expect Songs in the Key of Life Part 2. I mean, I wouldn't expect anything like that. But I just wish they had done more together. As I just thought they were so good. I mean, two legends coming together, two incredible songwriters.
I don't know if
wouldn't
there's that
worry
much
too much.
pressure on the two of them. I think that
Right.
they both have nothing to prove. to
Right. Yeah. At
anybody.
this point.
Yeah.
Exactly
we-
that. I think that they're two of the best songwriters of our generation. I don't think the pressure would be too much for them to come up with a few songs together if they were to sit down and write together.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Rick, were you gonna say something?
Yeah, just quick Stevie Wonder story about that. I got to meet Stevie Wonder in Atlanta many years ago, and handed him the Tug of War album to see if he would sign it.
Yeah.
His aide said, "Oh, that's not a Stevie album," and I said, "No, it's the Paul McCartney Tug of War. You're on that." And Stevie broke into a little line of "What's that you're doing?" And that was so that obviously he was immediately taken back to the Tug of War days, and that was many years after that. So I'm sure that that collaboration would be a good
Very
one.
cool.
Very
Yeah.
cool. Very
Yeah.
cool.
Very
So
nice.
that's an awesome story. Wow.
It's a
So
great
that's
story.
oh my gosh. Wow. So that's my number 5 unrealistic. The rest on my list are more realistic.
Okay. What's number 4?
Mhm.
So we're going to do them all together.
Oh, you're gonna
Oh,
do
we
it.
are
We're
doing
gonna
them
do
all
it.
together.
We're
I'm
gonna do
making
it
up
like
his
that?
mind.
Okay. Oh, we are doing them all together.
Are you
Okay.
doing?
Yeah.
I thought we were doing
Yeah.
one at a time.
Yeah, I thought we were doing one at
Okay.
a time.
Would you rather do it that way? I
Yeah, I like
thought we'd
that.
all just
Yeah.
do,
Mix
5
it up
things
a
on
little
each of
bit.
us.
3, 2.
Oh,
I'm fine
okay.
with that. I'm
All
fine
right.
with that too.
All right. So we'll all just keep rotating
Yeah.
with each of our
Mhm.
choices. All right. We'll go with Joe next.
All right. The Harrison estate is a funny estate because they're not giving us a lot, but I would hope to like to get at number 5, George Harrison, something from the live 1974 tour, like a documentary. Not talking so much, music, although of course that's welcome too. But I'm looking for a documentary kind of thing, and that you pointed out from the '74 tour that was really clear
Hmm.
that you saw.
Okay. You're breaking up, Joe. So
Yeah.
I'm just letting
Could
you
you
know.
elaborate?
I can't make out. You're freezing now. Actually, I do know, and I've commented on this a few times, that before COVID hit, is he coming through?
I know.
Before COVID hit, there was a press release. I think it was in Rolling Stone, where
Right.
Olivia and
Yep.
Danny were talking about what their
Danny,
plans were.
yes.
And it went all the
Yes.
way through 1974,
Right.
Dark Horse, the album, and a tour with no mention of Extra Texture. So it just seemed like they have something in the works, we hope, for the 74
Right.
tour. So,
Mhm.
that could very well happen.
They should be
Tom.
well aware.
What's that?
They should be well aware that we would like to have something like that.
Absolutely.
Right.
Oh, and these
you
estates
hear-
have to know that, like, the buying public is that these people are getting older. It's getting they're
Sure.
buying.
It must be that. I don't know why.
The turnaround
Think-
of that is not great. The younger people will stream it, but if they're going to put an elaborate package together, the longer they wait, the less the amount of time that people from that that are going to be able to buy that stuff. If they keep waiting and waiting and waiting,
Mhm.
Well,
It'd be nice
maybe
to-
they should put out a limited edition so it wouldn't cost the record company so much.
Hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, the Harrison camp, George was very good at that, with his putting out his own "I Me Mine" original 2,000 copies or whatever it was back in 1980. It was
Okay,
sold
so
for oodles of dollars.
hmm
okay, so Joe is going to try and come back in
Come back
because we
in.
lost
Mhm.
him.
Right.
Yeah, I just wonder if they would go down that route though, because the tour was, because of the state of George's voice on that tour. Would they? I mean, I know this has got fantastic interest amongst hardcore fans. We'd love to have something official from that tour, but I'm just thinking from the Harrison camp point of view, whether they would dare to put that out if it
Well, they said they were going
Doesn't-
to.
doesn't
Yeah.
reflect well on George, because of his voice on that tour.
Well, I suppose if you were to listen to all the concerts from that tour, you could pick out the best performances of each one.
And put
Yeah.
a, put a,
You
put a
know,
Right.
do
that-
it like
that
a
would-
Wings Over America type thing to it.
Were they all recorded?
I don't know if they were all recorded professionally or
Mm,
not,
That's the thing, isn't
but yeah. But also, I mean, this is just how I
Everyone
feel,
feels
and
they've
it's
been
it's
represented.
wrong. It's wrong to expect the Harrison family to feel the same way. There are times when something that happened was so rare. In this case, the only tour that George ever did outside of the brief tour of Japan.
Because of its historic,
Um,
it really
Uh-oh.
and now I'm losing my picture. So we'll work on that.
Anything can happen on Ken Michaels Radio.
Regardless of
true.
quality of the product, it should be made available. So just for a
Yeah,
historic, product of
I agree.
The thing,
Yes.
whatever the quality of the thing may be.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if there's plenty of bootlegs of every show, but what was, I mean, I'm just looking at 8 Arms here real quickly. I don't know. But
Again,
I mean,
the
I
fact
have
that-
bootlegs of many of the shows, but they're all audience tapes. So
yeah,
Okay.
how many quality soundboards? But hey, that's like the holy grail of Harrison stuff, right? We want to
Right.
get something like that, right?
yeah, but between that announcement prior to COVID and hearing certain things like George Harrison said in the interview he gave to Billboard magazine with Timothy White, he's got more unreleased stuff than Jim Reeves. Why would you say something like that? You're going to excite your fan base by saying something like that. So you got to imagine there's a lot of stuff out there that we haven't heard.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
This is the same guy who said, release everything.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Scrape that barrel. Scrape it.
Why not?
All right. So till Joe comes back, Beatley, what would be your number 5 choice?
Okay, so I'm not making big demands here. I'm trying to be realistic and manage my expectations. But my number 5 sounds like it's already been blown out the water by the announcement today. So I've got as my number 5, and I've picked "Living in the Material World" as as a remix, a box set. Outtakes from the sessions, demos, etc. Like the All Things Must Pass, but that isn't my favorite George album. I'm just saying that one. I'd prefer maybe something like the eponymous album or 33 and a Third to have that sort of treatment. But just to let us know that it's an intention that they're going to release this stuff in that way. They've done a big box for All Things Must Pass. Well, there are loads of other really great George Harrison solo albums that deserve that sort of treatment, and I'd like to see that happen. So I've picked "Living in the Material World," but it applies to the whole
And
Harrison.
Right
and
on.
instead of a gnome statue, you can get a big hand statue in the box.
Or maybe just like a big fold out table, like on the gatefold.
Right.
Uh-huh.
Right.
Yeah, have a
There you go.
Sit
there.
A big fold out table,
At least the Jim
That's
Campbell
great.
does.
and maybe some cardboard
Yes.
cutouts of Nicky Hopkins and Jim Kelly.
You could have it delivered to your home in that limousine. The one that's on one of the labels.
No, then would they include like a real subscription to the Jim Keltner fan club?
That's right.
That's what you got to do.
Okay. See, we're giving the Harrison family all these great ideas.
Yeah.
Oh, there'll be more coming.
I think
Yeah, I think there's going to be more coming
Joe's
tonight.
I think Joe's in the background there, Ken.
Okay, let's see. See if we can bring Joe back.
All right.
Let's see.
Well, who's
Joe
next?
Joe is about to reappear.
All right.
There he
Oh,
is.
there he is.
Hope, Andy. Can you hear me, everybody?
Yeah,
Yes.
we can all hear
Joe!
you.
This reminds me of the other time. I think it's Andy.
Oh.
Because I said, could you imagine if I have computer problems again? Because it happened when we did our show last time. And apparently I don't know. It's only been a couple of times. Anyway, at least I'm back, I think.
So why don't you finish what you were about to say about the 74 tour?
Well, just quickly, I mean, I know that Tom had said, and he sent some footage, right? That was out there that was really clear.
Well, I'll talk about that when I go next.
Okay,
Mhm.
and so I'm thinking
Or whenever.
that's maybe a good sign, that there's going to be good quality worked on it, because as I heard Ken say, yes, in fact, they had teased us a little bit, the Harrisons, that there were going to be stuff coming. The archives are going to open up
Hmm.
or something. They said something, words to
Hmm.
that effect, or Danny said that. And I'd like to see that 1974 tour, mostly like a show, if they could put it together, a good documentary, and maybe an
Yeah.
accompanying audio
Hmm.
album,
Mhm.
would be nice. But I'm not holding my breath at this point. I need for the Harrisons to show us a little more.
Right on.
You kind of wish that they would do things chronologically, although you don't have to do that. And since All Things Must Pass came out as a box set, you would think Concert from Bangladesh next, then Living in the Material World. So have to wait and see if any of this stuff comes out. Rick, how about you?
I think a possibly realistic project, I'm not sure how much interest it would be
All right.
doing this again. And one of the reasons for that, not necessarily just this record, but maybe the combined Ringo and Goodnight Vienna for the Richard Perry years type project. One of the reasons for that is I've been able to meet a lot of people that have worked on this, and many of the folks that I've talked to about this have told me what fun this was. A party in the studio was what Tom Scott called it. And Rick Danko went on and on and on about what a thrill it was to have the spotlight put on Ringo in his first real solo record like this, and lots of great music on those two records, and all the people that are involved in so many of those projects, Elton, Dr. John on Goodnight Vienna, and the cast of characters that are on those records. Another maybe a documentary type project, because there's probably some footage that goes with the making of these records. And I think that would be a good way to put the spotlight back on Ringo's early type of career. How about that?
I think that's a great idea. I've never heard anybody want to combine Ringo with Goodnight Vienna, but I like it. I'm for any of this stuff being remastered and coming out.
The quality of sound too. I listened to that today, and it could use it. It could really use a good I don't want to say AI treatment, but a good 2023 technology treatment.
Okay.
I agree.
All right. Very good. So let's see. How about Andy next?
Well, to piggyback on what Rick said, I wanted to see the 50th anniversary of a Ringo box, which we were told was in the pipeline to come out this year, but not a word about it. We did hear from a couple of sources and friends of ours that was going to come out this year and that it was done. So,
I didn't mention the fact that it was the 50th anniversary.
50th, yeah, that needs to come out. The Ringo album, 73, definitely needs to be celebrated, to your point, and a nice elaborate package. You want to package it with the Goodnight Vienna, fine. I would think it's a strong enough album that warrants, it's obviously his best-selling album. It's the one he's known for. It's got Photograph on it. It's got, of course, the Mal Evans co-written track, You and Me, Babe, on there too. So obviously it would be nice to see that release given its own treatment in a deluxe fashion this year, because it's his most celebrated work. And Richard Perry and everybody that's on that record,
I agree. The thing is that somebody said there was a little quote from interviewing Ringo recently this year, and they said something like, it's 50 years since the Ringo album. And Ringo said, really, 50 years already?
Yeah,
as if like he didn't even think about it. But Ringo has a sense of humor too, so who knows?
So that would be something to be, I think everybody could welcome, that release.
Oh yeah.
Well, the Goodnight
Vienna higher up.
Goodnight 74 release, so maybe it could be the 50th anniversary of those two for that Richard Perry combined project, and throw in the videos. I'm sure there's some
and the promotional stuff too. Yeah, tons of great promotional stuff during this time too. Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of like the
videos.
Richard Perry years idea. I like that kind of making that the theme. I like that.
Throw Harry Nilsson into the whole thing too, and now you've got it. It's set.
It would be a real nice touch maybe there are some outtakes of drawings from Klaus Vormann.
Mm.
You know,
Yeah.
all those wonderful drawings that he put in that booklet that fit
But-
each song. You know, maybe there's a few outtakes of that kind of stuff.
It
But I
could still be on the way, because I think the actual anniversary is in November. I think
December.
November.
November or December. Yeah.
Yeah, so it could that if it's done as you were told, Andy, it could still be happening.
Well, let's
You're
hope
right.
so.
You're right.
Mm. You know, as much as I've applauded Ringo's Time Takes Time on, how he's revived his career, and you know the quality of his music, just he was so concerned about that. The Mark Hudson period, everything since then, you still have to acknowledge that the Ringo album was the most successful of his entire career. So if any album of his deserves to be remastered first, it really should be that.
Sure.
You know,
Yeah.
as much as I'd like to see his entire catalog remastered, but I mean, come on. Great. He always has great musicians on his albums. He's got the other three Beatles on there. It's a classic. All right,
Yeah.
Tom, you're number
Well,
5.
I'll thank you. I'll piggyback to what Joe was saying, and yes, if you go to the George Harrison YouTube channel, okay, they did release a piece called "Dispute and Violence," which was part of the '74 tour, and it looks like they remastered it and they did some restoration on the video. It looks fantastic. So again, if this was, you know, if you know, they're working on it, then hopefully they worked on the whole thing, you know, and not just that one, because that was to coincide with the Shankar Family and Friends release from I think a month and a half, 2 months ago.
Mm.
So my 5 would be you know, anything involving the '74 tour, and I don't know if a documentary is really realistic, because I mean just about everyone has passed, unfortunately, from that tour.
There's
I
still
mean, not
quite a
everyone,
number.
but you know, a good chunk.
Yeah.
You know the Preston, you know, George Harrison, I mean Shankar, you know, I mean I think they're like the real, you know, meat and potatoes behind the tour aren't with us
Well, I
anymore,
mean, old
unfortunately. But
footage, old interviews,
right,
Right.
Yeah.
exactly, old
who weren't even
footage,
there,
yeah,
maybe.
archival stuff, yeah.
Mhm.
I could get into something like that. But I'm sure they filmed some stuff behind, you know, backstage. You know, if you know someone's pulling pranks or something, there's always something going on backstage. So anything involving the '74 tour would be great.
All right, very good. My number 5 is something that, you know, it's going to happen anyway. I picked the Rubber Soul archival box set. I happen to believe, because we're dealing with the Beatles, every album is going to be, you know,
It should.
remastered and put into an archival box set or remixed. So, you know, it really doesn't matter that much to me what the order is, because I know that eventually it's all going to come out. I was a little disappointed that they seem to bypass Magical Mystery Tour and Yellow Submarine. But if you're going backwards, you know, from Revolver, Rubber Soul would be next. And so I just think in time, no matter what, it's all going to come out. And then you've also got the B-sides and stuff that was on Past Masters volumes 1 and 2. So the entire catalog will be remixed, and we'll get bonus material and different outtakes. But I mean, this was a realistic thing. If it doesn't happen this year, it'll probably happen next year. And Giles Martin already said that he's worked on the Rubber Soul box set.
Right.
So that's a realistic one.
I think
Okay.
so.
All right, so now let's get to your number 4 choices. Let's go with Beatley first.
Okay, so my number 4 choice is something that I was hoping for this year, but it's clearly not going to happen now, and that was a 1963 box. I'm quite happy for them to start combining, because 63, 64, 65, they put out 2 albums in those years, so it makes it difficult for them to do sort of, you know, 60th anniversaries for each one. So I was hoping that we would get a Please Please Me and with the Beatles box getting the normal treatment. I was preferring that to Rubber Soul, and for the reasons that I think it was that Andy said earlier, that we're all getting older. We're all getting older, and if they, they're taking so long over this, we're not going to be here. Or if we are still here, we're going to be deaf anyway. So it won't matter if they remix it or not. So I know that Joe's keen on each album having its own box, but
that's my number 4. Wait till I get to it.
because of the time period and how long it's taking, I'd like to see Please Please Me with the Beatles combined in a box with the Stowe School gig included, because I think there are less outtakes available for that period, less from the sessions. I think that what we get on Anthology is a good clue to what is, how much is available, and there's not much from either of those albums. They kind of went down the live recording route to cover.
They did the first album in a day, so
yeah.
6 takes of Misery, 9 takes of I Saw Her Standing There. I don't know. I think
I don't know. No, but,
there's a place. They have a lot of them.
Yeah, I know that they definitely lost. There was only 2 takes of Twist and Shout, and they've lost one. I think. But anyway, that was that. I was thinking that would pad it out to a nice box set. If you haven't got too much, unreleased material to include, we could have the Stowe concert, the two albums remixed, and the 2 albums with a mono vinyl for those that missed that box set.
Okay, I can certainly see both sides. How every Beatles album is an event to itself. That each one should be separate, but I wouldn't mind combining the 2. Really. I think that's a good choice right there.
Yeah.
All right. Joe, we'll let you be next.
Okay, that's a good follow-up. Yeah, I actually had with the Beatles, and specifically is one of my favorite albums. I think it's overlooked and underrated. It's them in their prime. It's them when they really, after they got the first album, and they started really getting more sure of themselves and getting even better and getting more, as I call it, hungry and intense. But I'll take Please Please Me also. I don't think these things have to be released on anniversaries. I think people are starting to get a little crazy like that. Just like Revolver wasn't, we didn't wait to 2026 or anything.
Right.
But I don't kind of agree with Tone, although I'll take it any way I can get it, of course, if Tony's way comes to be. But I'd still rather have each one unique, its own box. But everything, each one is going to have a book of its own thing, and I don't know, any accompanying footage, but they don't do that too much anymore. But anything they can have, video footage or whatever. But the outtakes thing, I know what Tone said. A lot of people often say, and maybe I'm wrong. They always say, well, there's not a lot of outtakes, and I'm thinking, well, do we know? We didn't know there was a Yellow Submarine demo thing with John on it before. We didn't know. And Mark Lewison's book is a good guide, and we've had some stuff out. As I said, like I think 6 takes of Misery and at least 9 or more of I Saw Her Standing There. Do you need all of these? I don't know, but what I like about him is with I Saw Her Standing There, it's kind of a work in progress. They keep trying to get it right, and there's breakdowns. I like that kind of thing.
Remember, you got a little taste of that stuff when they did that 1963 copyright dump.
Oh, when they dumped that, all that stuff.
They dumped all that stuff in 2013, whatever that was.
I think digital only though.
And now it's gone. It's not. You can't still get that. It's just they just dumped it, and then that was it. It was gone.
Right.
But for posterity, I think it should be in a nice box, just like the other ones, and with, like I said, with a book, all the details of the sessions, everything you'd want, nice photos, and then as many of the outtakes and things as they want to put in there as they can as a separate disc. Doesn't have to be 6 discs, 5 discs. It could be 2 discs, 3 discs. Doesn't have to be a lot. I think the reason I'm picking those so much, and I know, like Ken said, Rubber Soul is the one that Giles said that he should be next, I think. But I just think I'm really anxious to hear what they can do with those tracks, those 1963, 4, and 5, including Rubber Soul. I really wanted. That's what I want to see. I'm glad that they had some fun. They tried to do things 66 to Abbey Road and so forth, but I want to hear how they're going to fix the vocals, maybe the hard panning of music in one,
Yeah.
and and singing in the other. I like to maybe to bring up Ringo's drums a little bit, if it's possible, if they could do this with whether it's Mal technology or AI or whatever they're going to do.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah.
You
So
know-
I'm excited for a '63. I'll take either one or both together, but I prefer them separate.
No matter what, when you're dealing with fans, there are some that feel that because this is the Beatles, you can put out all their outtakes because they're the greatest band of all time. Some people feel that
I
way,
wouldn't.
that.
Yeah.
But I
you
mean,
know,
I don't want to
Right.
be misunderstood. I'm not saying you are, but I wouldn't say every single outtake. I mean, if something's really embarrassing, no, I'm sure Paul is not fond of that either.
What was
I'm-
the release that Paul and George stopped from coming out in the early '80s or mid '80s? Do you remember,
Sessions?
Andy? 'Cause
Oh well,
Sessions.
Sessions. Yeah, the Sessions. Yeah,
that was then.
yeah. That
But,
was then. It's true.
There's always that argument that when you're dealing with an act that is this important in history, I mean, you can say this about Bob Dylan if you want to, everything he ever recorded should come out. And I don't think that if you're a fan, if there's something that's below par and it's not a good take, it's not going to tarnish the reputation of the artist. You already know what
No.
you're getting when you're buying it. So there are
So
fans
excuse
who
me, I
feel
beg
that
to
way.
differ if I can. I wonder sometimes because I think some people, especially in this day and age, and there is some sour stuff in there. I mean, guitar solos blown and stuff by George and stuff. I wouldn't want them to hear too much of that kind of stuff and start getting all the bad press of these guys couldn't play, or whatever. But yeah, there's enough good stuff I think though to put in.
Well, we all have different opinions about this. So, I could see
Yeah.
both sides. But the
Right.
other thing I wanted to bring up was this whole issue of anniversaries. I remember hearing years ago that the Beatles didn't want to keep hearing it's the 50th anniversary of this, because it reminds people of how long ago this was. And yet, Sgt. Pepper box set comes out on the 50th anniversary of Sgt. Pepper. The White Album comes out on the 50th anniversary of the White Album. In fact, when the CDs first came out in 1987, it was meant to revolve around the 20th
Pepper.
anniversary of
Right.
Sgt. Pepper. So, our anniversary is really that important. Should we be doing things on the anniversary? Does it help the sales a little bit more? If you say, 60 years ago, please please me and with the Beatles.
Sometimes.
And some people,
I think COVID.
60 years ago today, She Loves You released.
there you go.
Yeah.
I think obviously the pandemic screwed things up too, because that
Right.
threw off Let It Be and Coming In and
Yeah.
Get Back and all that too. So
All Things Must Pass also didn't make it.
Yeah.
right, that
Right.
screwed the timeline up. I mean, would they have gone back then after that, say, and then started then doing 62, then 63 and doing it, and then going from Please Please Me all the way up to Revolver, taking us to 2026.
Yeah.
Who knows? Now they're going the other way. So
And
Mm.
yet somehow, I don't know why, but Hard Day's Night, I'd like to get that, in 2024 for some reason.
Yeah. Anniversaries never hurt sales. It's an easy way
Never.
to market.
It's-
And yeah. Yeah.
It's
go
an excuse. It's an excuse to put it
ahead.
out.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Andy, you're next.
for number 4. Well,
Yep.
we touched upon it a little bit. I'd like to see a combination of the Stowe release cleaned up with the Peter Jackson technology and the Star Club tapes with the same treatment combined in a nice set of early recordings type thing. Have the Star Club as one disc or two, the Stowe thing is another one, and put that out with all the brand new technology applied to it to hear all those historic stuff. I know people say, it's so old. That's the Beatles when they were at their peak playing performance. We need to hear that. Not when they were in tour in the US.
Yeah.
We need to hear them then play. That was when they were cooking, man. We
Yeah, they
want
were-
to hear that.
They're a better live band in Hamburg than they were, when everyone's screaming they can't hear.
Yeah.
Right.
But I don't want to hear them do your feet too big, though. I'd rather,
Oh,
I'd
come
rather hear them-
on. That's
I'd rather hear
fun.
them do A Hard Day's
Yeah.
Night or I'm a Loser.
Yeah, I think we're headed in that direction. Who knows where Apple's going to go with it? I mean, they have the material at their disposal. It's been talked about. I know that Peter Jackson they floated the Hamburg stuff out there. So who knows? Maybe it comes out in 6 months, a year or two. That would be a real welcome gem to again, using modern technology to take
Right.
this music and be like, look at these guys in 1962. Look how cooking they were. Listen to that, man. They're just rocking. Not something from like an American tour in 60. And I'm not trying to downplay the American tours or the British tours or even stuff they did in Germany, like in 66. But those early 62, 3 shows, come on, man. Especially that's what we got to hear cleaned up with modern technology. That would be
Yeah.
my number 4.
I buy it.
Yep.
We all know John Lennon said that they were a much better band when they were in Hamburg. That's when they were at their peak as a live band, according to
Yep.
John.
Well, that was
Okay.
one day he said that.
The next day.
No, I think
Okay.
he always maintained that.
No, I'm just kidding. Rick, we'll let you be next.
Well, my number 4 ties into somewhat with the Star Club, the revamp of the Star Club, because my number 4 would be called have the Ed Sullivan Show introduction right here on our stage. The Beatles live on television. A compilation of many, many times they've been on television playing live with using today's technology, AI, whatever you want to do to improve the sound, remove that video hiss and the noise there, because we've got not only the Sullivan shows, the Shindig shows, we've got the very so many European and foreign shows. Maybe I don't know that the Shea Stadium would qualify as a television broadcast, or the Budokan concerts would qualify as actual television broadcasts, but I would imagine that there's enough material out there with the Beatles playing live on television that would be able to just take the audio. If you could make it a video project, that would be nice and a bonus to use the improved audio. But the main point of this, my number 4 would be to take the audio from the Beatles playing live on television. And I think the Ed Sullivan introduction right here on our stage would be a great title for it. So tie into those, any of those early live performances is going to be, like you said, that's when they were still cooking, even in those early Sullivan shows and things like that, before they got to the point where they were tired of having to deal with the Beatlemania. But I think
And even the Melbourne, Australia show from '64 was also televised on
The visual aspect is awesome, right? We've had all these great audio enhancements, right, with AI, but to see something, take that technology and apply it to visually, now you've got a nice. You're hearing it awesomely with modern technology, and you're seeing it too.
Yeah,
we saw the difference in Get Back to Let It Be, or Let It Be to Get Back.
Yep.
Right.
Apply that now to those television shows.
That's a great idea. Yeah, because we now have the technology to do it. So.
Why not?
Disney,
But
drop
some
it.
some of the best performances of what they did on television, because it's them in the clear without hearing so much screaming. You hear them as a band. You look at something like Big Night Out. That was a great performance. You could just go on YouTube and watch that.
I mean, some of them are lip sync. Some of that stuff's some of it's lip sync when they do some of the TV performances.
Oh, TV, yeah, but not that show.
I love the stuff in Japan where they actually can hear them, and they're not playing that well because the Japan audiences were silent.
No, I get nervous about. I always say that I'm always nervous about them putting out for the masses the Budokan shows. I'm always worried people are going to say, "Oh, they sound so not into it and so weak."
But they admitted that too. On the anthology, they say they're trying to do Nowhere Man, and it's just the harmonies are just not cutting it because you can hear, the crowd noise covered a multitude of sins, as McCartney said.
All right, so let's see. Let's have Tom next.
All right. Well, I almost made my list completely of all live stuff for my 5 picks, but I think the second most important live aspect of my list that needs to be released is the one-to-one concert. Whether they do the one show or both shows or whatever. Look, I mean, the technology's there to restore the footage, doing remastering the music, whatever they have to do. Look, I mean, you've interviewed. Who did you interview about it, saying that it was done? Didn't you say?
Jack Douglas.
Jack Douglas. Yeah, said it was done. It was complete. I mean, so just like the original Let It Be film has been done and remastered and restored for decades, that would compare from what Michael Lindsay Hogg has said. So we need the one-to-one come out, and for me, I think that's literally look, the Lennon catalog has been re-released, and re-released, and now it's halfway again from being re-released, and that's great because people, these next generations need to get that stuff. They didn't have a chance in the last time. However, this is kind of like the redheaded stepchild that just keeps getting ignored. So let's stop ignoring it. Stop the disputes. If you have any disputes with any members of the Elephant's Memory or anything like that, and let's figure it out and let's get it out.
We really don't know what the delay is in this.
Right.
And I remember hearing a while ago, I don't know how true this is, that the evening show that ABC owned the rights to it. Okay. Because it was broadcast on television.
ABC did it. Yeah, Geraldo Rivera was part of ABC then and did all that. Yeah.
So what was released in '86 live in New York City was from the afternoon show.
Yeah.
So
heavily,
I don't know
heavily edited though.
Well, it could be a joint project, I mean, they're not broke. The Lennon estate is not broke. They can, figure out a way to make a deal where everybody, all parties, gets a little chunk of change. I think all parties should be wanting to get this stuff out as quickly as possible.
I tell you what, I wouldn't mind, because it's a part of history, just like the '74 tour from George is so rare. Right. He did a tour. So little live Lennon at all.
Right.
This was the first full concert. I wouldn't mind if we got to see some of the earlier acts that performed, because Stevie Wonder was there and Roberta Flack was there and Sha Na Na performed. I wouldn't mind seeing that and seeing the whole show intact. That
That's
would
one
be
thing.
cool.
Yeah.
Plus rehearsals for one-to-one, which have been bootleg.
That's been bootleg too.
Yeah. But throw it in there,
Sure.
The more the merrier for me. Kit, you're next.
Okay, well, in some ways I wish I could change number 4, because after Beatley Tone presented that the idea of having the 63 and 64 box set with Please Please Me and with the Beatles, man, that would be a great one. So, but I'm going to stick with my original list and go with something that a lot of you already discussed, but come on, George Harrison estate, you got to give us some more box sets. I mean, All Things Must Pass was wonderful, great start, but I need more. And kind of like what you were also saying, Beatley Tone, is that I'm not really picky as to too picky as to which one I want, but many of I love 33 1/3, and I also love George Harrison. I would take either one, maybe even take a combo, because I always felt like they were sort of bookends in a way, part 1, part 2. So even a combination I would prefer separate, but I don't want to be too greedy. But I would love to hear outtakes. You could put in videos with that, of course, because he did make some promotional films to go along with them.
Funny ones too.
Yeah, exactly. Great ones. I mean, I would love to hear the about the creation of the album. I mean, there's got to be some stuff in the archives. B-sides. I mean, I just think there's got to be a box set there. And so I would just love.
That's another good double box set there too, because you can get lots of interviews with the folks that are still around, and most of those examples that can tell what it was like to be in those studios with during those records.
Exactly. So
Eric Idle, who produced some of those promotional films, you could have him on there.
Exactly. So you get a nice, you could get a good book out of it. I mean, how good a set would that be? I mean, if you wanted to do a double set with, as I said, 33 1/3 and George Harrison. So that would be my pick. And so yeah. So come on.
Not only that,
put more out.
Might I add that the
Yep.
videos that were made need to be cleaned up.
Yes.
And remastered.
Remastered.
The audio
Yeah.
on Crackerbox Palace is so muddy off the
Yeah.
video, and I
Yeah.
don't know why it is that way.
Yeah. I
You
mean,
know?
Oh,
it's
that's
not,
an easy
Kinda
fix
like-
though these days.
Yeah,
not that
Kind of
old
like
a
what
video.
Paul's been doing. Yeah, kind of like what
Mm.
Paul's been doing the last 5 or 6 years. You know,
Mhm.
re-releasing some videos.
Hmm.
You know,
Mhm.
if there's an anniversary or something like that.
Mm.
and cleaning
Yeah,
up
those
the
4K
audio
maybe.
too.
Yeah, the 4K remasters.
Hmm.
Awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, those definitely could be cleaned up. I mean, as we said, we have the technology now. So
Yeah.
Right.
let's do this.
All right, so I'm last, and my 5 and my 4 choices are the most predictable. This is what a lot of people have been saying for years: London Town and Back to the Egg box sets.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
listen, I'll be happy with any archival McCartney box set. Give me Press to Play, give me Off the Ground, give my regards to Broad Street, and I'll be happy.
Yeah.
Give me Run Devil Run,
Yeah.
I'll be happy.
Oh,
But
yeah.
Yeah.
but just to finish up the 70s, to get all that out of the way, and there's so much stuff that you could put in there in those 2 box sets. I'd love to see Rupert the Bear, the music for that has been bootlegged for years. I wonder if there would actually be any kind of video for the full-length Rupert the Bear that maybe Paul could share with us. And all the stuff for Back to the Egg, the TV special, the
Yeah.
concert for Campuchia, the show at
The Rockestra
Glasgow.
special.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all of that. There's so much you could pack in those 2. Hey, I'd even take one of the 2. Just give me London Town, even. Just give me something. It's been several years now since Flaming Pie, the archival box set for that.
3.
Oh,
3 years?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yep.
so it's a long time. Long. And so I need another archival box set from Paul.
we're not greedy.
Yes.
We're not greedy. That's what we're
Yeah,
saying. We'll take anything.
We're not asking for much.
Series lag too long, really, don't you think?
What's that?
It's strange that they've let that series lag so long, because when it's pretty
Yeah.
much a cookie cutter type thing, you know what you're going to have in the framework of what an archive project like that's going to be. So assign a group of people to go in there, find it, clean it up, and massage it into a product. It doesn't make sense business wise for MPL to let that dangle.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's very frustrating
Good
for the
suggestion.
fans not to know why, not just with Paul, but the other solo Beatles, why this stuff is not coming out. Just tell us why.
Exactly.
And don't print in the Got Back tour book. Watch out for new archiving.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
that's what keeps
Coming
me still
soon.
hopeful, is that
Right.
Yeah. You just can't leave it in midstream,
Don't tease us.
Got a habit of not finishing projects. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All
George
right.
Harrison, Volume 1, early takes.
Yeah.
I know. There isn't even a volume 3.
Yeah. One and done.
And I remember there was an interview that Giles Martin gave where he said he was working on the next early takes.
Really?
Yes.
Mhm.
That was, I don't know, a year or 2 after Early Takes Volume 1 came out. He did say that, and then I guess all things must pass. The box set became more important. So I don't know. Things can change. So now let's get to number 3. And this time we're going to start with Tom.
All right. The Ringo back catalog. We need to get that remastered in a box set. I don't care if it's it doesn't have to be the Apple stuff. Let's get an Apple box set. Let's get Buku's a Blues, Sentimental Journey, and Ringo and Goodnight in an Apple style box set, or re-release them separately. Anything you want to do. I know that Capitol did release the Ringo album and Goodnight Vienna like 5 or 6 years ago, as part of, I think they're like their 75th anniversary or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I did pick those up. I know some smaller distributors have been releasing the mid era, the mid 70s to early 80s Ringo stuff. Friday Music has been releasing some of his stuff. And
Yep.
what was the name of the other company that's released the last 2 on Record Store Day?
Music on
They did
vinyl.
that. No, they did Stop and Smell the Roses, and they did Old Wave. I forgot the name of that company.
Oh,
But anyways, I mean, so his stuff has been getting some attention, but attention, get that? But anyways,
Clever.
I see what
yeah,
you did
but
there.
anyways, yeah, those Apple sets, they need to get the remastering done, and obviously we'll put the non-album singles on there, the non-album B-sides, and go from there. But I would love to see an Apple, a Ringo Apple box set with those four albums remastered. So that's that.
I wish we knew if
Number
there's
three.
any outtakes of songs, say from Sentimental
Has to be.
Journey or Buku's of Blues.
Right.
You know,
Has to be.
Yeah.
you would think by now we know. Certainly with Chip Maniger and Mark Easter's work, although that book ended in 2000, so there could be a lot of stuff that's been uncovered since then. But yeah, okay. All right, let's go to Rick next.
We're at number 3.
3.
Oh, this one's an easy one. Kind of a no-brainer too. We've had lots of Paul McCartney live albums, but there's a list of about 26 McCartney songs he's performed live that he's never released on legitimate CD or legitimate release. We need a Paul McCartney live catch-up release to make available all these songs that he's been playing live that he's never, even the list of all the live albums he's produced since with this band, done about 4 or 5. So even the Amoeba and you know what I mean there, but there's a long list of songs that could be on a new Paul live album. So we may be getting that he could do that at any moment regardless of the tour, but there's a couple of I would think he would want to have this new version of I've Got a Feeling with John again.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Version. So that might be the impetus to have a new release and take a look at the long list of songs that he's put out live.
I mean the Off the Ground tour. I mean he performed Off the Ground, but I don't think that was on Paul's live. So
I'd have to check on that. What wasn't on Paul's live? Another Day.
Another Day, and that was one of the highlights.
Yes,
that was one of the
highlights.
Put it on
there.
That show.
That's weird.
Very strange.
Yeah.
Or
but
Off the Ground.
What Tom?
Off the Ground was on Paul's live either. He played that. I saw.
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I gotta wonder if he plans on putting out a proper live album, because in recent years he'll take an album like New and then he'll put as bonus tracks 4 live recordings of songs from New. He did the same thing with Egypt Station.
Yep.
He has hinted about putting out an album of soundcheck material.
That's
which
that's
would
what I'd
be
like.
You're cheating. That's on my list.
Okay.
Well,
it's
we'll put
hard.
that aside for a minute.
We didn't hear that.
We didn't hear that.
No.
Okay.
That's mine.
Okay.
I love the picking up all the scraps of all the.
That's a good title for it right there. Live scraps.
Picking up
Yeah, there you go.
Okay. Beatley will make you next.
Okay, well, I'm picking up some scraps as well because I've got this thing about the Beatles remixes and the fact that they missed out Magical Mystery Tour and Yellow Submarine, and I'm wondering about how they're going to deal. Are we going to get a remix of the stuff that would normally be on the past Masters album? The B-sides, the Long Tall Sally, that sort of stuff. So I've put as my number 3 a sort of a Magical Mystery Tour Yellow Submarine box set, and I kind of got I quite like the Yellow Submarine song track to be included in that as well, because that's already had a remix. But I just want some sort of vehicle where they're going to remix the Magical Mystery Tour songs, and the Yellow Submarine songs, and there's others as well apart from the B-sides. There's they didn't include a remix of Hey Jude or Revolution in the White Album box. They didn't include a remix of Ballad of John and Yoko and Old Brown Shoe in Abbey Road. There was no In a Light in the White Album box, the official version. So I just want a box that's gonna gather up all this stuff. I did a video where we're talking about the blue and the red album coming out, and the fact that it's probably coming out with a third disc. Each one has got the two albums have got a third disc, and I did come up with a track listing that would mop up all of these songs on that third disc, because a lot of Magical Mystery Tour is on the actual blue album anyway, and if that's getting a mix, then it gets done. It gets done. But and same with Hey Jude and Revolution and Old Brown Shoe and Ballad of John and Yoko. So a blue album remix would take care of that. But I just want everything gathered up, really, basically.
Yeah, I know what you mean. That's why I like American albums, putting everything on the album, not straying them over on Past Masters 1 and Past Masters 2.
Yeah. So something along those lines would be really good.
What happened to Ken?
Don't worry. Don't worry.
Are you happy?
Not worried yet.
Here we go.
There we go.
Okay.
And I wouldn't mind those two being together, by the way, Tone. I wouldn't mind those two being joined together in one box.
Yeah, because most of it is sort of 1967, isn't it? I think it's only there's Hey Bulldog, I think was 68, but the two George songs were recorded that are on Yellow Submarine were recorded in 67, I think.
Yeah. Well, that when the box sets first came out and those songs were left out, I mean, you could have had only a Northern Song on Sgt. Pepper as a bonus track, because that was the first song that George offered.
Well, they didn't.
I
like the song. I like the song. I love the song, actually.
I'm just saying as a bonus track. When you notice that these are not included in the Sgt. Pepper box set and the White Album box set, that they're glaring omissions there, and it's for a reason. They have to be doing something. They have to be planning something for that. So, would you want the George Martin music from Yellow Submarine to be included too?
I'm not fussed about that, because that's not Beatles music, so I'm not worried about that. But you've got more faith in Apple's thinking than I have, because I just think that it's just been done in such a scattergun way. They've just skipped over those two, in the same way as they've kind of, decided 2022 they're going to go back to Revolver. It should have all been planned out. The whole schedule should have all been planned out before they even started it, I think. But
okay, I think that's too much to hope for.
A real fan in there helping guide what we're looking for in some of the things you mentioned in there. Consider that instead of just appropriate from the business point of view or not.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
That is something that they really need, and it would be so easy for them to do. They don't have to pay us. All they have to do is just have a Twitter account that we can tell them. They could say, what would you rather have? This album, this album, this album, or this album? And we can tell them, and they'll know, what sort of, numbers of sales they can expect from that. It's crazy.
You got so many different
Just have a
opinions
vote
on that. You'll have millions.
They don't
players,
fans.
I think we should be the consortium.
They should watch this show.
Just the seven of us. Okay. Whatever we decide. Andy, you're next.
Yay, number 3. Hinted at it before. I want a Paul set of sound check songs.
Okay.
I want that out in one kind of maybe 2 CD, 3 CD. He's done so many. We've even got him included him on the live albums. Paul is live. I think one of his best found sound check songs is A Fine Day on Paul is Live. That's a great jamming song. It's just, and I love on that album, they just said, this is not, this is not for people who are critical disposition. If you don't like it, basically, piss off is what he's saying with the sound check songs on Paul is Live, which is nice. But songs like Sally and Don't Get the Something, and then loads of even newer stuff. He sound checked, I Don't Know.
Alligator.
Alligator.
Yep,
He
I saw him
sound
do
checked those
Alligator
songs?
Sound.
Go. Friends
What?
to go.
Friends to Go.
Friends to go.
Mhm.
Not just the covers, but his original stuff that he sound checked. Let's get those on there too.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
would be awesome to
Yeah.
hear that stuff, especially the recent stuff. Alligator, I don't know, real good quality. Let's hear that. Let's hear that on a sound check. Going all the way back to like the Wings days, from the first Wings shows. You know, some of those
It's a
anything
good
they
idea.
sound checked, a real comprehensive sound check box, 2,
Right.
3 CDs.
If they
You know,
do
this
that,
has been
if they do that, I hope they include some of the opening jams that they do. I've been to lots of sound checks, and usually for the first 15, 20 minutes, Paul will play his children's Les Paul, and they'll just jam on a blues lick for sometimes 15, 20 minutes. That's when they're really doing the sound check for the soundboard and the house people. And some of those jams are really incredible. Just pick up on a riff and let it go. I hope if they do that sound check box, I hope they do lots of those really great intro jams for that.
which you heard on Wings Live over Europe when they have that little long intro riff into Eat at Home.
Yep.
You know,
Mhm.
things, just a great example of that,
Things
right? You
like
hear that
that.
little riff, long jam, which is the band kind of just warming up, getting into the track, and then boom, right into the track they go. You know, this is and he does a great example of that his whole career. So that's been hinted about, right, Tom? Is that more of a wish list, or did somebody say that?
No,
I-
no,
Paul said
Paul
it.
has said that. Paul
Yeah.
Paul said that you
Paul's-
know that you never know. Maybe I'll put out an album of sound checks. So yeah, it has been documented.
Right. So that would be my number. That's my number 3.
Yeah.
It's-
There's so many songs that he's done at sound checks that don't make the set list.
Yeah.
You know, I
So,
love what, like, for quite a while he was doing Celebration from Standing Stone, which is a beautiful piece of music.
Wow.
You know, he wouldn't think to do that
No.
in concert. You know, that's part of the joy of getting to see or hear any of his sound check material. So
Tom, what were
yeah.
you going to say?
well, I was going to say that I've done it once. I went to see him in Stockholm, and about 2015, and he did about an hour and 10 or something as the sound check gig, and he didn't do any of the songs that he was doing at the actual gigs. And not, you know, it's not. It's so great that you get 3 hours of him playing the actual gig, but you actually get like over an hour in the sound check of material that he's not even going to play at the gig.
Right.
It's fantastic.
Lots
Yeah.
of tunes from Run Devil Run or the CCCP album. Lots of rockabilly in those sound checks. It would be great to have released.
Yeah,
Oh,
Absolutely.
that's my
Okay.
3.
All
Like
right. Kit, we'll make you next.
okay. Well, you actually Ken already said mine, but I moved it to number 3. I feel like I've been talking about this forever, which is the Back to the Egg London Town box set.
Hmm.
Come on, it's time for this already. I mean, yes, come on. I mean, I've just wanted this for so long. I think we all have. And there's plenty there to have. I mean, with the outtakes, videos, the Back to the Egg special. I mean, come on. I've often wondered if he could throw in, there's got to be a demo of Girlfriend that he gave to Michael Jackson. I mean,
there's a piano demo of it. It's not great quality, but there is a
Yeah.
piano demo that he could circa 1974. Here's a
Right.
piano demo.
Is that on that piano
Girlfriend.
tape
I don't know
thing?
if it is. Have you heard it, Kit?
I don't know if I've heard that. Maybe I
Yeah.
have, but now that I think of it, I think maybe I have. Yeah, and it's not great quality. You're right.
No.
Now that I recall, but I wonder if there's another version because he must have given. I know he did give a demo to Michael,
And
but
let's just set the record straight here. The Michael Jackson version of Girlfriend is better than Paul's, right, Kit?
thank you, thank you.
Oh.
Yep, it is. Yeah, he and Quincy worked on it, but anyway, that's another show.
Yeah.
But anyway, but yeah, if that exists, boy, I'd love to hear that. I mean, they could put something like that on there. I mean, the possibilities are endless. So I would absolutely love this box set. You know, Back to the Egg is an album that grew on me over many years, and you know, so I mean, there's so much, and of course, as we know, I mean, you know, come on, Lawrence Juber can talk about it, Steve Holley, list goes on, Denny Lane, obviously, the list goes on and on. So I mean, it's high time for this, and as we've said, any Paul McCartney archive at this point. I mean, it's been 3 years, as you said, Andy, and you know, it's been too long. So let's finish out the 70s on a strong note with.
They're like missing teeth in the mouth, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Why are they
Exactly.
not there?
Exactly. So let's finish this out strong, and then we can move on to the 80s. So let's do this.
Here, Kit.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right. Let's see if I can get back on camera here.
All right.
I hope so.
You're just on the
Nope,
radio,
I'm
Ken.
having-
Just pretend you're on
Just
the
pretend you're
radio.
on the radio. Yeah.
To the
Okay.
radio. We gotta
We
go.
can hear you.
Come on.
All right. So let's see. We still have Joe.
Yes, we do. Okay. That's where I placed my John Lennon choice that I had, number 3. Look, I know I'm one of the 4 or 5 people that want Sometime in New York City, so maybe it won't sell that well. Sometime in New York City, I'm really disappointed that they skipped over that. I'll take Mind Games. I like Mind Games too, you know, but I want to get, you know, I want to see the Lennons come back because they did such a good job with Give Me Some Truth, Imagine, and also Plastic Ono Band. I want to see the next one. And I thought about with Sometime in New York City, though, that's a good place to put in the one-to-one show,
Mm.
you know, a visual of that, you know, video. And as you said earlier, there are many rehearsals. You can make a nice set out of that. And maybe it would entice some people to try the set out if they knew there was going to be the concert footage in there. It was going to be the show. Dare I say, maybe that's the only way you get it. You buy the box, but you know, I I don't know. But so basically, to cut it short, Sometime in New York City is my preference. But if they want to skip that, it seems like they're going to skip it. You want to go with Mind Games? Just give us something. I need some more John Deluxe box set right now.
Mm.
Well,
Yeah.
and it's ridiculous if they skip it. I mean, it's part of the catalog. You know, I know it's a controversial album. I mean, it's it's his history.
It just got a CD and vinyl re-release in 17 or something like not long
Yeah.
ago.
Mhm.
You know, so
On vinyl too, Tom?
yeah, his whole Canon catalog got re-released on vinyl not long ago as
Oh,
well.
the Lennon box. You're talking about that one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. After
Yeah.
that as well.
Oh, right.
And packaging it with the one-to-one concert. I mean, I think that would be
Good idea.
good. Yeah,
Yeah.
that'd be a good
That's
sales.
what I think. It's a good idea, but again, I'm not in marketing.
Well,
Yeah.
well,
So-
I mean, when the McCartney Camp released Wings Over America, they didn't include the rock show. They released that separately, and I kind of think that was maybe the smart move because a lot of people would probably just I'm sure some people just wanted the
film.
instead of
Yeah.
the whole box set, so
Wings Over America didn't
who
need the
knows?
boost either.
That's right.
right.
And if they can get 2 shows, afternoon and evening, put out one, you know, by itself. But if you want both, you got to get the box. I don't know, you know.
That's a
Okay.
good idea. There you go.
Okay.
All right. So we're up to me. And my number 3 choice is a brand new Paul McCartney album.
Ah,
There
Okay.
you go.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, it's been a few years now since McCartney 3. And you know
That's
that he's always
amazing.
recording and he's always writing. And you know he's always got something in the pipeline. So it's just a matter of time before his next album comes out. And I'm always curious to find out. You know, this is a guy now in his 80s. Does he still can he still be as creative as he's always been? Could he be even more creative? It's just interesting from that aspect as he gets older, you know, does he still have, you know, the ability to
Yeah.
come up with great
Yeah.
material as, you know, as he's in his 80s now. I mean, from that aspect alone, I find that fascinating. It's really not
least
something that
you're-
I would even question, because he's put out
you're
a lot of great
respectful.
stuff in his old, older years.
Right.
So it's when you take a look at someone's career as a whole, from their youth all the way to, when they're in their, last decade or last 2 decades, do they
Mhm.
still have what it takes?
Right.
And somehow Paul is always inspired. He finds ways of being inspired to write great material. There's so much that I love on McCartney 3, and that's coming from a man that was almost 80 years old when he recorded that.
And just to
So
see how vibrant he is, you've seen the pictures of him just yesterday walking across the street. He doesn't look like an 80-year-old crowd.
Yeah, I was just
No.
I was
Seems
just
like he's
thinking that as
got-
Ken was talking. Yeah.
No.
Well,
He's still-
he was yeah, I mean, he's the greatest musician of all time, and he went to go celebrate the 80th birthday of the greatest actor of all time. So that, I mean, he looked great doing it. But Ken, to your point, I'm kind of thinking, I'm wondering if any music for the film High in the Clouds, when that comes out, will be the next new music that we hear from him. Obviously, we know he did a duet with Lady Gaga.
mhm.
We know that there was a post that he did something with Madonna, I think, as well. And I'm kind of
I
curious.
think that
if that's gonna
project's
be-
dead, man.
No, it is
That's never
not.
coming
No.
out.
It is
No.
not. When
No?
His Wonderful
like
Life
a
is
year or
dead, I
so
hope.
ago, even I think it was on Talk More Talk. Well, on things we
Right.
said today, there was information on IMDb that High in the Clouds was
Yes.
going to come out by the end of the year. And I wrote
Right.
to the film company, and someone there wrote back to me saying, it's just not finished yet. We're a few years away from it. So it's going to come out, and all the music's done. And there's supposed to be 9 songs that Paul has done already for that, one of
Right.
which is the duet with Lady Gaga. So
Right.
yeah, there's that. That's still going to come out. I do believe that it will. And but I'm looking for, all new music from Paul.
Of course. Yes.
Sure.
So I never stop wishing for new music from Paul and from Ringo. And I look forward to every new release. I'm just as excited as a little kid, when a new McCartney album comes out or a new Ringo.
Yeah.
I'll be excited this Friday when I hear Ringo's new song. So yeah.
You and Andy
Never-
can go to the store together to get it.
Yeah, I went there with Kit.
I gotta
Kit,
say,
Kit
I
was
gotta
there.
say,
She was
though,
with
guys,
me. I
this-
was.
Yep.
this is getting tired. It's tired, man. Those album covers. I love Ringo. I love his album. Most of the stuff on his albums. But this on the cover of every single. Oh,
He's
Just
about
change
peace
the
and love,
background.
man. Come on.
yeah.
He's all about peace and love. He talks
Yep.
the talk, he walks the walk.
Sure he
Mhm.
does. Sure he does. Bugger off if you ask him
There
for
you
an
go.
autograph.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
There we are.
Coming to your town soon.
That's
Okay.
right. That's
Okay.
right.
So we got everybody's third choice, right? Did I
Yeah.
miss
Yeah.
I
anybody?
gotta
Yes.
do the whole show in 20 minutes. I don't know if we can do the next two. I gotta
All right,
get out
let's-
of here at 9.
Let's do number 2. We'll start with you, Joe.
Oh, very easy. That's where I had my Ringo 50th anniversary of the Ringo album box set deluxe there. That's how important it is to me. I almost put it number 1. Believe it or not, in some ways, that's the thing I'm most wanting right now. For all the reasons that was said earlier. I mean, it's his best album. It's a classic. They can even, I can't think of the word, hype it up as like the Beatles all together on the album, to try to get people interested. Because last time they kind of like almost like a Beatles album, and there were the stars on it and everything, and really promote it that way. And it deserves its own box set, dedicated box set.
Okay. No argument there.
Agreed.
Okay.
Agreed.
Kit, we'll make you next.
Okay. Rubber Soul box set. I when the red and blue discussion, that's saying, oh, that's going to be the next release. I just thought, damn it, I wanted the Rubber Soul one. Come on. I thought that was going to be the next Beatles release. Really looking forward to that whenever it comes out. Really interested to hear what the outtakes could be. Love to hear whatever the remix is going to sound like. because of course it's Rubber Soul. It's just a masterpiece. So, really excited to, what the book is going to look like to accompany it. So yeah, Rubber Soul box set. I'm very excited whenever it comes out.
Yeah, I have a feeling it'll be next year.
Yeah, that's what I'm hearing.
I think that's the one thing you can bank on the most that we're going to get out of everything we've
Out of everything, Rubber Soul, right?
Yep.
Hmm.
Yep, I agree.
Okay. I apologize, folks. I haven't been able to get my camera working.
Mhm.
So,
Get a Lenovo. This is the thing we handle private show. Lenovo.
all right, Beatley.
So my number 2 is the same as Joe's number 3. A new Ultimate Mixes Lennon box set. Same as Joe. So disappointed that they didn't put out sometime in New York City, because we all know what the problems are with that album, but you can't get away from the fact that it's just so interesting. Really sort of important time in John's life, and I had the same thing with the one-to-one concert could be included. He also did all those little gigs like the John Sinclair rally that they
You could put that in there.
He did a couple of those. He was on quite a lot of TV around night. I think
Mike Douglas
host one of the talk shows in the US.
Mike Douglas.
And not for nothing, but Mike Douglas supposedly I've heard rumblings that wasn't going to have its own release.
Oh, I think
yes, Tony, you're right.
A ton of material for that box set, including the one-to-one. It doesn't look like we're getting that, so I would just like Mind Games now just to have that reassurance that this Ultimate Mix series is still alive, because forget your Giles Martin remixes, your Beatles box sets, your Paul McCartney archive collections. The Ultimate Mixes are the benchmark as far as I'm concerned, that all box sets should be marked against. Fantastic book, fantastic remix, and tons and tons and tons of music. I love those like Evolution mixes,
right.
All the Element mixes, and all the session stuff. I mean,
and so far, good price point too, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Very good.
So for me, they are the ultimate. But they are, the Ultimate Mixes. They're also the ultimate box set for me that we've had so far. Anyway, the first 2 were anyway. So
I agree.
I want more of that.
Okay, very good. I don't know what I did to get back on camera, but I'm not moving my head too much. I'm staying just like this.
Don't move.
Rick, we'll make you next.
Number 2?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Number 2 for me is a combination actually of what we've talked about several times, and something I talked about earlier, the Beatles on TV live. No, this time John Lennon on TV live, because this was on television. Parts of the live piece were on television. Some of the like the Jerry Lewis telethon, the Mike Douglas shows that we just mentioned. I'm sure there's I would think there would be footage of other live appearances, like you say. John was on TV a lot around the period of the sometime in New York City type of thing, and this really one of my favorite versions of Cold Turkey, the one with Nicky Hopkins playing piano, the meandering fade out that they do on that. Wonderful version there. And there are so many live versions of John's songs. I think that would be, I was going more for an audio release here for all live John Lennon. That's not necessarily, certainly we would want the live, the one-on-one show remastered, re-released, and things like that too. But if we're not going to get the entire, sometime at least the live tracks from this, because the Zappa version of his Short Eternity with Yoko Ono, some of the sound quality on the Zappa release is much better than the release on the sometime in New York City. So my number 2 would be a live Lennon, maybe from the television programs.
Okay. Did one of you say, maybe it was Andy, that there would be some kind of Mike Douglas release?
That was me. I'd heard that somewhere.
I've heard
It
that
was.
before too, but years and years ago now, at least maybe 10 or 12 years ago.
Oh, I heard it. I heard it fairly recent, but you
I
hear
heard it
things all the
recently
time.
too. Yeah.
Maybe it's
Because
back on.
it came out on VHS
Yeah, it was a
years ago.
VHS
And
series.
and
came out.
DVD, I want to say too.
There was a
Yes, it did.
DVD. There was like a compilation of some kind. It was one disc I saw that came out. I didn't see the whole collection, I don't think.
Yeah, I've never seen the whole collection on DVD.
Yeah. That's a shame. That's a part of history right there.
Absolutely.
John and
and
Yoko.
include the Your Blues from the Plastic Mags too, or the Dirty
Right.
Mags.
Yes.
Several other live appearances that could be a good compilation. I think good listening.
The guests they had, the guests they had that whole week,
I know.
fantastic. I mean,
Yeah.
And John was just so engaged with all the guests. He was into every type of conversation, not just political. You know, it was fascinating. And Yoko was great with him too. So yeah, okay. Great idea there, Rick. Okay. Let's see. Andy.
Number two.
Yeah.
It's already been said. Many people said it. Kit said it. Tony said it. London Town and Back to the Egg. Not much more else to add to that.
Okay.
Got to be out.
Can't dispute that.
That's my number two. And was going to be my number one, but I switched it, and Joe will be happy with my number one.
All
You'll
right.
be happy with my number one.
Okay.
Tom, I think you're the last one left for number two.
Yeah, thanks. This live stuff with the live at Stowe kind of got me excited. We got some live stuff on the anthology, right? I mean, we got the Hollywood Bowl, and the live at the Hollywood Bowl cannot be the only documentation we have of a show from the Beatles. We have to have something else, whether it's the Star Club or whether it's whatever. I would really from 60. I would love something from 64 to 66. I know people would rather have 63 or earlier because they were really cooking. Yeah, true. I get that.
The Paris show, Tom.
Yeah, right.
Paris.
Any show from around the world from between the years of 64 to 66 when it was the Beatlemania was took over the planet. Whether it's Japan, Australia, Paris, I don't care. Any show, except for the Hollywood Bowl or Shea, for that matter. There's gotta be. You can't tell me that the Hollywood Bowl was the only thing worthwhile to release during that time. Yeah, maybe technology wasn't that great at the time, but now that we have Mel, and Peter Jackson on the payroll, let's, obviously.
Sometimes it's better to wait, right?
Right. Yeah.
How much longer we're going to keep waiting?
No, but I mean, now that we have the technology,
right.
Now that we waited, so now we have the cleanup, like you said about Hamburg and everything.
Right.
Right. So that's my two.
Sorry, I was just going to ask: was the Washington Coliseum?
It was released, but digitally. I think you had to buy the whole CD collection. Was it? You had to buy it all at once as a box set, and you got it as a bonus track. You got it digitally.
Right.
I think you're right.
Yeah, and it was stunning quality. It was sharp, really sharp picture.
Yeah. That could really be done up nice too.
Yeah.
I think that it's
right,
even if you're talking about a time when 64 or 65, the crowd was so loud that you had trouble hearing them, just to know how well they played then with the screaming, I find that interesting. I'd rather have it in the clear, don't get me wrong, but
Yeah. And I wonder how the sound system for shows back then too, how if that's if that's any factor, if that plays any factor.
Well, yeah.
Any of
the
these,
sounds, the amps weren't big.
Doesn't help.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Yeah. Right. So
they didn't have stage monitors until they played in Atlanta in 65. So you can imagine how the sound on stage was for them. If you've ever done it before me, you would
amazing.
So that's got to be a factor of just the band equipment.
Right.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Okay.
Breaking
Did everybody say their number twos? Did I miss anyone?
Except for you.
Oh,
Yep, just you.
yeah. I'm also going to say sometime in New York City or Mind Games for a box set for all the reasons that we gave. I just happen to feel you could apply this so much to John because his life was cut short. Every single recording that he made, you have to look at as being precious. I don't really understand what the delay was, why we haven't had sometime in New York City. You were talking about this, Beatley, like we all know the reason why. Is it really because of the first song?
No, I didn't actually mean that. I just meant because it was a very poorly received album, critically, and also, fans don't love it anyway, but hardcore fans would still buy it if that box was to come out. Hardcore fans would buy it, and maybe that's what they're worried about, that it's not a big seller. I don't know. Obviously there is there's a problem with the with the first song on the album, but it is what it is. And I think that he's kind of explained, I saw him do an interview where he explained the meaning of the word.
Yeah.
Not for nothing, but I also, I hear all these things. I seem to remember pretty solidly the talk being that they were going to put on maybe the not 1-to-1, Life Peace in Toronto. You remember hearing that? That they were going to put that in there, and I remember thinking at the time, well, that doesn't fit in there. So, why would they do that?
To help boost sales,
to sweeten the pot, so to
yeah.
speak. And a longer version, a cleaned up version.
I don't understand the whole controversy over the first song because that song has been reissued many times over on different Lennon compilations. So why is it any different?
No, we all guess that's a big part. The reason, as Ralph Cramden would say, the reason. But
I'll tell
we
you
don't
the
really
reason.
know. Well, I'll tell you the reason.
Here we go.
But
here we go. You're the one that wants to go, Joe.
I've been going fast. I've been going pretty fast. So I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go in 4 minutes anyway, or five or something. But
so we are left with our number one choices.
Yeah, what happened on my screen anyway?
Rick.
Rick. Yeah, Rick.
Rick is gone.
Rick, try to come in, Rick.
Try to come back, Rick. We need you, Rick.
And we'll put him last then, because so he can come back.
Yep.
Okay, Joe. Since you're in a hurry.
Yeah.
He was always
we'll give you the
hurry. My number one.
Everybody's in a hurry but me.
But I'm really hoping that Andy and Tom are happy with this. But I really put Back to the Egg as my number one most wanted thing. Even after all this goodness that we, all this great stuff. I think maybe because I've wanted it for so long, this archives. But I also put London Town in there. Like everybody said, I want to see them finish the 70s. I want Back to the Egg most of all. That's one of my very favorite albums, of Paul Wings, So anyway, and we all said all the great stuff that could come on there, all those great videos and the concert, at 79. And I think somebody, maybe Tom, mentioned the Rockestra making of the Rockestra session, which I love that. I want it all. So, and London Town,
I want it all.
So there's a lot you can put in that package right there.
Yeah,
no doubt about it. Plus the unreleased songs from that period.
Oh, you could do a lot with that. That could be a really nice set. That could be.
Definitely
Robbers Ball.
Robbers Ball. Did we meet somewhere before? Same time next year. All that stuff.
Denny Lane singing, getting closer.
That's right.
Yep.
All right. Very good, sir. All right. Let's move on to Kit.
Sir, I told you.
All right. I have wanted this since, I've wanted it a long time, but particularly since when Peter Jackson appeared via Zoom at the New Jersey Fest in 2022, and this, Ken, when he talked about the using the Mal technology to work on the Star Club, and he talked about that and said to the audience, hey, do you guys have any suggestions of songs that you might want me to work on? And I think you could hear a pin drop in the audience, kind of like, are you serious? I was so excited. I just thought, my God, maybe at last we could get really good quality recordings of those Star Club tapes. So I'm waiting. I am dying for a release of cleaned up, as good quality as possible. I'm not expecting, pristine, perfect, quality. But considering what he did with the Let It Be footage, he could do something really special with those Star Club tapes. And as we've talked about, I mean, they were just so tight as a live band at that point. And every time I've listened to that album, I've thought, boy, this just sounds so good. I've loved it. I just wish it were better quality so I could really listen to George do that Peter Gunn solo. And I saw her standing there. And, we may be just a bit closer to hearing just that. So that's my number one pick.
Yeah,
nice.
It's just so important. I'm just a little bit worried that we're kind of building it up into to something that won't. It's even with that technology, I'm not sure how good it can still sound, because Get Back was one thing. It was recorded with hundreds of microphones and all that sort of stuff. This was recorded. This is like like an audience record on a reel to reel. So I don't know. I mean, I'm sure they can make it so much better than it is, but how good they can make it, we don't know yet, I suppose. And I just hope we're not kind of raising our expectations, but historically it's just so important.
Oh, absolutely. And I'm not expecting it to be a pristine 2023 quality recording or anything like that, but if they could just clarify it a bit more, I'd be happy. There he is.
Back.
He's back.
Glad I'm not the only one.
It's like they say, you can't
Play
fight
my
lightning.
computer.
Yep.
Yeah. Good pick, Kit.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, that's going to be one thing that we need to learn about AI is how good will it work? Can it work with an audience tape of a concert?
That'll be a good test.
Very doubtful, but I'm hopeful.
There's an audience tape of you sitting in the stands in a stadium, and there's an audience tape of you in a bar. And I'm sure that you'll get different results because of whatever venue you're recording in.
Sure.
So hey Rick, we missed you.
A little power outage there.
Oh, gotcha.
Power cut.
Power
That's
cuts.
right.
Maybe a power cut.
Power cut. Loop.
I'm back. Where are we?
Loop is one of the best on that album.
I love Loop. You know that. Let's go right to you, Rick. What's your number one choice? Throw you on the spot.
Just in time.
Yeah.
My number one choice would be, the title would be featuring Paul McCartney. This would be probably at least 3 discs of either cameo appearances that he's done with someone else, duets like the Carl Perkins, the Johnny Cash, the Stevie Wonder, the Michael Jackson, so there's a whole list of duets, and Tony Bennett that would be that.
Brian Wilson.
So many. Steve Martin. I played the Steve Martin for so many years ago.
Fantastic.
I never heard that before.
Best Love is fantastic.
Fantastic song like that. So there's a whole bunch of those, and then the one-off songs like Partial to My Abracadabra.
Yep.
Compilations.
A Room with a View.
A Room with a View.
You know the list. You know the list of those songs. And then the songs that he has written for other people. Getty for Roger Daltrey. Mine for Me for Rod Stewart. There's a short list of those, but I think that
so it's longer than you think, my friend.
Yes.
Oh yeah. The George Michael duet. Beautiful.
Great,
And
great
I think
duet.
that would make a wonderful listening piece. Not only a good archive and historical look at the many slices that Paul has made in other people's careers, but I think that would be. I know I've made this either a Spotify list or a CDR for myself. Just those cameo appearances. The book, The Beatles Undercover,
Yep.
lists all those
Yes.
cameo appearances. Chris
Yes.
did a good job on that book. But
Just
I
a
think
fantastic job.
Right here.
I think that would be a good listening and a good project. And I don't know what, because of all the licensing and things like that, whether that would be realistic or not. But I got a feeling that would be a good project and good listening, featuring Paul McCartney. How about that?
Yeah.
Right.
I'd love to see that happen, but all the different record companies that own the rights
Yeah.
to those songs. I
Oh
think
yeah,
that's
you gotta.
really tough.
Yeah, that would be a tough tall order to do, but it would kind of keep them all in nice one place to find them all instead of.
That's what I was just gonna say. Having it all in one place.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Mm.
Yeah.
It's funny you should pick that actually, Rick, because only this week one of my viewers, he sent me an email that he'd done exactly that thing. He'd done an imaginary box set of Paul McCartney collaborations, and there's about 60 tracks, something like that. 60 tracks. There's loads of them, and it's really good. So I mean, he didn't send me just the list. It was the list, not the actual songs, but yeah, it's good.
That's my number one.
It's a good one.
Excellent.
Excellent.
You should definitely pick up Chris Englehart's book because there's stuff in there that we haven't heard of.
3 books. 3 books.
Mhm.
Well, this
Yep.
covers everything. The most recent one.
The third one has 1 and 2 combined.
Yep.
And plus a few other.
And
few
it
other new
updates
stuff
it.
in there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Good guy too. He's a nice guy.
he is.
Yeah. And he's
Great
been on
guy.
my channel. Check out the videos I've done with him here.
Mhm.
I enjoyed
Okay.
the show with you.
Mhm.
Let's see. Let's have Tom next.
All right. Well, obviously, I could have gone with Back to the Egg in London Town as well. I could have done. Rick, I mean, your pick you just talked about was a great one as well. But with us not knowing if the archive collection is going to continue, myself, I'm going with. I want him to revamp the idea of cold cuts. There's still so much material that he has not released or has not gotten an official release. I'm talking about Yvonne the One. I'm talking about Robbers Ball. I'm talking about Water Spout. I'm talking, Did We Meet Here Before? I mean, there's so much stuff that has.
But those will end up in the archival box sets.
But we don't know if this is if
When we're
this
dead.
is if the archive set is done. We don't know if it's going to continue or not. Is my point. So if it's not going to continue, then these songs still need a way to come out. And if he revamps this, a cold cuts type of style of release, then maybe we can get these tracks that have still seen the light of day officially. Obviously, they're all on YouTube for the most part. And we can get them that way, but I want them to sit on my shelf, officially. And whether these tracks are continued on with the archives or not, just get us these, especially Yvonne the One. Such a beautiful song that needs an official release. And I didn't really care for what Eric Stewart did with it. I want Paul's rendition that's on the Press to Play bootleg.
How that song never made it to Press to Play, I have no idea.
Oh, absolutely.
There was lots of room for it. They could have asked a bunch of other ones.
Let's not go there, Joe.
Rick, were you gonna show something? You were clutching something.
Oh, that's he was saying he wants to own it. He wants to hold it in his hands. He wants to,
yes,
he wants to fondle it. I do too.
That's right. Yeah.
He wants to fondle it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, let's not go there. I don't want to know about that. That's TMI.
TMI. There.
TMI.
This is my
Good
Beatles
song by
album.
Joan Jett. TMI.
Joe, did we get to you? I think we did, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
I think I
Okay.
was first. I was going to
So,
run out of here, but wait. I want to see everybody. I hear everybody's pick.
okay, Beatley.
Okay, well, well, I've gone for the popular choice of the evening. It's the archive collection, London Town. I'm talking about a big box, like the Big Barn
Yeah.
box, but we're calling this one the grey goose that laid the golden egg, or something like that.
Nice name for it.
Yes, it's got
Box of Kintyre,
Hey,
box,
grey goose that laid the golden egg
Fire.
box. Right,
At
so
girls' school.
down we got back to
Yeah.
the egg.
Yeah.
I want it to be like the Big Barn box, so we've got a third archive edition in there, Wings Over the UK, where we've got
Right.
the Glasgow gig, the
Hmm.
Cambodia gig. There's loads of unreleased material. Same time next year, we've already talked about them. All those, the first sessions with Juba and Holly,
Yes.
and there's, we know there's also video of the concert for Cambodia. That was all filmed, so that could be included. Like we've already said, the Rockestra film, the Back to the Egg videos. There's just so much. It would be brilliant.
Yeah.
It'd be brilliant, and that's my number one. And I just want. If it's not that, I don't mind which archive it is, if it's press to play or off the ground. I just want confirmation that the archive collection is still alive. That's it.
Okay.
Big Barn box.
Plus you
I
have
love
20 versions. You have 20 versions of Paul McCartney video that you can do, just like Mary Had a Little Lamb. There's 20 versions of that as well. So that can get included.
Yeah, well,
Certain pieces of that puzzle are already completed too. The Rockestra film, the Rupert film, there's so many of them that are already self-contained pieces that all they need to be is maybe dusted off and modernized, but still they're existing projects that are completed, ready to be dropped. Why haven't we seen these?
I know.
and
Right
Paul
on.
owned the Wings performance at concert for Cambodia. I think Paul must own that because he's already included Hot as Sun as part of the bonus material for
Chris McCartney album.
Right. McCartney. Right.
he must own that, I guess. So no reason we can't put it out.
It's a logical choice there, Beatley. Okay.
Yeah.
Have I forgotten anyone? Andy, I think, did you pick your number one?
Nope. Simple though. Mind Games and Walls and Bridges are in the super deluxe, archive treatment.
Oh yeah, Walls and
Love
Bridges.
it.
But I'll wait to 2024 for that.
Well, whatever one they are. I actually
Yeah,
want
yeah.
them before London Town and Back to the Egg. Believe it or not, I do.
Whoa. Interesting.
I am impressed.
Why is that?
Why?
Yeah.
Mind Games is one of the first albums I connected to as a young fan.
Mm-hmm.
It's a pretty important record for me. So I want that in that awesome treatment that we've gotten we've gotten Plastic Ono Band, as Joe said.
Yeah.
Imagine
Yeah.
that album deserves it. There's so many great tracks on that. Out the Blue, I Know, Intuition,
Yeah.
Bring on the Lucy.
Yeah.
Now, Andy,
here.
we're texting, Andy.
So I want to. That's what I want to hear. And then and the outtake, Rock and Roll People would be on that as well too. Obviously too from those sessions. So that Mind Games for me
Okay.
first and foremost, and then Walls and Bridges. Maybe.
No
Love
argument
Walls
from
and
me.
Bridges.
Mind Games is my favorite Lennon album. Still is. All right. So I have my number one choice, and no one has mentioned this at all in the show.
Whoa, what a way to end it.
Ooh.
It's perfect.
It's a Wonderful Life.
No,
Yeah.
I did mention it. You didn't hear me. I said at one point, I said, I hope he doesn't do it so he forgets that it's a wonderful life. I said at one point. So I mentioned it that way.
I always bring this up. I was excited when I heard that Paul was involved in this project. We all know the classic film. He wrote a whole score for this. It's
Yeah.
already done. And then
There is
COVID hit, and then we haven't heard of things since.
Yep.
And even after COVID subsided, and we have Broadway back and we have the theater back, nothing's been said about It's a Wonderful Life. No one's saying a word about it. Paul's not saying a word about it. I don't know what the story is. If he's written all this music, we can't just let it go to waste.
Yep.
I'd love to hear the soundtrack, even if I don't see the musical on stage.
Right.
You know, it's already there. It's already done.
Another completed project.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Yep.
incredible.
Good
So
call. Good call.
not only that, but you know, this is the first time that Paul, look, let's face it, he's probably the most eclectic songwriter we've ever had. He's tackled just about every single style of music. And when he did the Liverpool Oratorio, even though he had done classical songs like, you know, Yesterday and Eleanor Rigby with classical arrangements, that was a full-blown classical piece with Liverpool
Legitimate.
Oratorio. This is the first time he's ever done a musical, an entire musical. And I'd love to hear it. You know,
Mhm.
so that would definitely be my number one choice. I wish somebody would ask Paul what's going on with It's a Wonderful Life. You know,
Yeah, one of these interviews, like Conan O'Brien or somebody could ask him.
Mhm.
I don't know what the story is, but these were
I
all
know.
incredible choices. It's nice to see how many solo choices were part of your top 5 here. Are there any honorable mentions you want
Oh,
to
the
bring
honorable
up?
mentions. Oh yeah, the Beatles. Let me say quick because I gotta go. Beatles cartoons, DVDs. I want the Beatles cartoons to come out. I know the Beatles didn't love them. Oh, you got that? I want them to come out. That's what got me into the Beatles. A lot of that was because I was like 3, 4 years old, and I think new generations will, be into that. Living in the Material World box set, which I don't like that they're skipping that over if they're going to do anniversary. And
Uh-huh.
that's it. I want to say it's great being here with everybody, but I'm already late, and but I have to go, so I don't want to just make it
Mhm.
like.
Well, thanks for joining us,
But
Joe.
I have to thank you, everybody. It's a
Mhm.
pleasure as always. Thank you, Ken, for asking me.
Yep.
Cheers, Joe.
Take care,
Salute,
everybody.
Joe.
Yep.
Anytime at
Take
See
all.
care,
you,
Joe.
Joe.
I'll check
See
the
ya.
end of the show. I'll check the end of the show later.
Mhm.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Anybody else
There,
want to
I
throw
mean,
some?
yeah, I mean, obviously, the continuing any kind of archive release, is important. And then obviously, I mean, I've talked about this before. Paul to continue to create, whether it's new music or whatever, classical, experimental. I don't care as long as he's still creating. That's important to a lot of us.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Yep.
Not an honorable mention for an item, but what I'd like to see McCartney do is do a thing, and some other artists do this thing. His whole archive is digitized in a cloud. Do a thing where you could charge fans $10 a month or $15 a month to have access to
Oh,
his
yes.
entire
Yes.
stuff, all of his stuff that's in his cloud. Charge him
Right.
$20 a month. We'd pay and put it all in the cloud, photos, demos, everything, and put it up there and charge people $20 a month or whatever.
Right.
Hmm.
PaulMcCartney.com, and let's let us have
That's
access to everything in his cloud.
that's good because I mean,
That's-
people like Metallica, Neil Young, they have websites where they have archive stuff in it. Neil or Metallica has every show I think they've ever done just about,
Right.
and you can
Every
can go
live show
online,
that Paul's
buy
done. You want to
every,
hear the show that you
yeah,
saw in 1993? You can go
yeah.
pull it.
yeah.
The live
Right.
show thing was one of my honorable mentions too, because so many bands are releasing so many every live show.
Right.
You can get the Who, Alice Cooper, King Crimson. You can get almost all their
Right.
shows with something like that cloud. So that was one of my honorable mentions as well.
Mhm.
Wow. Great idea.
Just a couple of honorable mentions for me. For God's sake, Shea Stadium. I mean, we need to have it. I mean, this is beyond ridiculous. It needs to be on DVD, Blu-ray, or and on digital. And also, Let It Be, the movie. I mean, the original.
Well,
What the
Right.
hell? I mean,
there's
this is
been
just.
talk about that.
I
Even
mean, this
Michael
has been
Lindsay
talked
Hogg.
about forever.
Yeah.
I mean, this is just also beyond ridiculous. I mean, I know we have Get Back Now, but we need to have the original.
Let it be.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Hmm.
That's
Well,
just as
Michael Lindsay
important as
Hogg
Get Back-
has said that there are plans of it coming out. So
Yeah.
Yes.
for one thing, I really think that Universal or Apple, they've been really good at releasing something every year. It may not be exactly what we want, because we had to wait for the Let It Be box set after Get Back, that kind of thing. but they always make sure there's something that comes out before the end of the year. I don't know if we all want the red and the blue collections to come out instead of Rubber Soul or something like that, but it's important to always have new releases every single year to keep the Beatles name out there in the media, to get us and all of our podcast shows talking about it, to drum up interest. And I think they've done a great job doing that.
Right. You see so many people get upset every time they reissue the catalog or whatever, and it's not for you people who have bought it over and over again. It's for the people that missed out on it last time. So I mean, go ahead, Rick.
An album release used to be an event. We were look forward to the first release of Rubber Soul or the first release of Let It Be and things like that. So when they can use these re-releases to make it an event, go to Record Store Day or whatever the function of the event was. But yes, make it an event to celebrate these four boys.
Yeah,
really,
absolutely.
And also periodically, whether it's every 10 years or 20 years, you need a catalog to be remastered.
Oh, yeah.
Whether or not you agree about remixing, which is a whole different kettle of fish, that's up to you. But remastering, I think, is essential. Anything you can do to make it sound better than the last time it came out for today's technology, you should all be all for it, Beatley, any last thoughts? Any honorable mentions?
I've forgotten about the Let It Be film, but that would be one of mine. But I'd written down as just sort of bubbling under, which I think kind of touches on what Tom said. Actually, I was thinking something from the 1966 World Tour, so Budokan or Candlestick Park, or some of those gigs would be nice to have.
Okay, well, all of my honorable mentions have been mentioned. So I mean, I've got the concert for Bangladesh or Living in the Material World, the Ringo album, Live at the Star Club, the Stowe concert, Beatles anthology remastered would be nice.
Yeah.
Nobody really talks about that. Those 3
Yeah.
volumes would be really nice. And also the DVD, finding a way also to work now and then into it, I suppose. And anything that was primarily mono recordings that you can make stereo, like the Decca edition recordings, BBC recordings, you could probably improve the sound quality on those too, Yeah. So we haven't even tapped into AI yet, but probably there's a lot that you could do with the Beatles catalog that way. And we'll have to see what gets done with Peter Jackson and whoever's working on future releases. But this has been great. Thank you guys for spending almost 2.5 hours talking about this.
Thank you, Ken.
This was fun.
Yeah. And there's contact information for everybody watching the show in the description box for all of our respective shows outside of Talk More Talk. Kit has another podcast show, Toppermost of the Poppermost. You can find the link for that. Andy has the other leg. Of course, you've got 2 legs with Tom and Andy. You got Beatley Tone. And Rick is there in Florida.
I got nothing.
Just hanging out. Looking around you, I wouldn't say you got nothing there. You got plenty to keep you company.
Right.
I got the part.
Okay. You got the best of company right there. So thank you guys for doing this. Thanks to all of you for watching. I'd love to hear your choices of what you'd like to see released, whether it's something we've mentioned or something we didn't even get to. There's always that possibility. So please write to me here on my YouTube channel. Thanks to all of you for watching. And we will see you all next time. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
All right.